Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network. We are joined by our mentor and coach, founder of Down and Out Consulting, Taja Clarke, joining us live here from the New York area and the Bronx specifically. Excited to talk to her more about the work she does and, of course, how she has this natural knack to connect with people and, in turn, help people. How are you today?
I'm doing all right. How are you doing, Jill?
Fantastic. Cold. It was nice to wake up to some snow. I'm sure you did as well. I live out on Long Island, so not too far from the Bronx.
Oh yeah, I almost slipped this morning a few times. Yeah,
Of
absolutely.
course. Oh, I miss where you are. I used to live in Whitestone, right over the bridge there to the Bronx. So I love that area. My family group was in the Bronx, so I just love it, love it, love it. First, I got to get to know you. We want the listeners to get to know you. Would you mind telling us a little bit about yourself, Taja? Thank you.
Yeah, so I'm Taja Clarke. The idea of the company Down and Out came during a time, I think, during COVID. And I remember I was just very doe-eyed. I just
Yeah.
landed my first job while I was still in college. I didn't have my associates yet, but I had an associate like wage in the job. So I was excited. I got my first paycheck. I was doing good. And then I think 3 months in, COVID happened and I was laid off. And I was just like, I have no idea what to do. I'm just trying to
Hmm.
figure out what my next step is. I'm still in school. I think that was the first time the idea popped up. The second time was, I think, around the end of COVID. I was laid off from another job
Oh,
and I had finished school. So I didn't have school to fall back on like the first time. I
yeah.
didn't really have any direction. I didn't know what to do. After college, you're supposed to
Yeah.
have this job, you're supposed to have a house, and I'm just had no idea. I was essentially down and out. So I wanted to have something where if anything were to happen with my career or my education, I had something I can fall back on that belonged to me. So I can control like my income, my stability, and that's how the company came out to help others not feel the same way I did, which is the whole point of the company, to get away from that feeling, even though that's what led to the company being created.
Got it.
Outside of that, I'm a foodie. I love a lot of food. I'm now getting into
Mm-hmm.
traveling. Um, I love anime. That's pretty much it. Food, traveling, anime right now. That's mainly me. And the irony is I'm a homebody and an introvert, but you would never know.
But you love
But
travel. Where do you love
yeah.
traveling to? Just curious.
So far I've only been to Georgia to see my family in Philadelphia. And all I did the whole time was eat food, like different foods every single day for a quick weekend trip. I'm going back next month, ironically. But yeah.
Amazing. Well, thank you for being here, for joining us. We are excited to find out more about Down and Out Consulting and, you as a mentor, as a coach. I know we'll talk a little about, personal development you do, staying consistent, maintaining lifestyle changes, and there's more to the topic. So I'll let you take the lead and the reins here. Go ahead, darling.
Absolutely. So the topic I'm focused on now is navigating complex relationships in the workplace. And I do believe that there's a separation between your personal life and the workplace, but I'm noticing now that a lot of the stuff that block you in your personal life flow into your career. One thing for
Hmm.
me has always been, to a certain extent, conflict. I'm not someone who likes to kind of engage with the back and forth in the workplace or in my social life. I tend to just say what I mean to say and then leave it there. But recently I've been in a situation where it's the other person was like that,
Yeah.
and I had to
Hmm.
learn how to work with them because I couldn't go around. We were on the same team, and I had to learn to, in spite of that, find a way to make things work. So I had to confront that to get the work because it was affecting our relationship and getting the work done. Um, yeah, I'm not sure how detailed I can get just to protect people.
Of
But essentially,
course.
the situation was just we had a project to do, and there's a difference in our experience. They're a lot more senior when it comes to their experience, and I'm a lot more senior in the company. I've been there longer, at least just in that aspect. And
Hmm.
it's a bit of micromanaging and just kind
Hmm.
of overlooking me and my experience. So there was a situation where they needed my help to get something done. And I gave them the exact, I like the steps, who to contact, what to say, and what to do. And
Okay.
they disregarded all of that. They wanted to hear it from
Ah.
my manager. So I said, okay, I let it happen.
Hmm.
They ignored my stuff. It cost me about 2 weeks of work, and they ended up doing exactly what I said anyway. But to say that, despite
Wow.
me realizing that I had the right answer, I didn't advocate. Once they started speaking over me, I just kind of shut down, and that affected both of our efficiencies. So I'm
Yeah.
just learning how to navigate that and actually go into conflict in some situation because it's necessary. You have to build that boundary and kind of counteract that situation to get forward. But that's kind of what the focus was on, just how to navigate that, how to navigate different personalities and how to work around them because sometimes you just can't.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you for sharing that. And also, I just want to point out, you've been doing this for how long? Just a little bit about when you started the company, exactly.
I believe it was around maybe 2018, 19. It's not an established LLC yet. And
Mm-hmm.
I had some periods when I did go back to full time and focus on that and go back, but around that time,
Got it. But it was during
I believe it
COVID,
was a
really, when you
winter.
were down and out,
Yeah,
right? I think we all were, right? But I love that you're here
yeah.
helping create and, help people, get out of this. It's fascinating because I want to learn more about, how we can work with you and, of course, your coaching process, if you don't mind. And yeah, well, let's continue.
Absolutely. So how to get in contact with me? There are mainly two forms. I'm very active on Instagram and I'm very active via email. So my Instagram handle is consults_anonymous and you can find me there. The email is dominantinfo@gmail.com and you can just send an email. You can just literally say hi and we can go from there.
Yeah,
The process is it's very flexible, I would say, because I noticed that people like different things. Some people like structure, some like just the freedom to make it a different thing each time. So I just kind of construct what the client needs as I speak to them. Like I'll ask you in our initial information, do you like to have an agenda? Do you like to just speak and whatever comes is what we address? And then we kind of flow it and make that plan based on your needs and where we are right there.
got
But it's
it.
pretty interactive.
Got it, got it, got it. Well, also they say, you're just perfect, cannot recommend you enough. That's from Zelma. Nia also talks about the work that you did in helping. And there's an initial free consultation, right? Could you just share just a little bit about
Yeah.
that? Okay, good.
Yeah, just, I feel like a lot of like companies want commitment early on. And I feel like we have to get to know each other. Do we have the right needs for each other? Do our personalities mesh? Do our needs and wants align? Just before we make a
Mm-hmm.
commitment, how do we connect? Do you feel like you're comfortable with me enough to trust me to help you get to where you want to be? So I want to have that connection, and then based on that, we decide if we want to proceed or if you want to find someone else. And then that's kind of how we bridge it off. But I want to have it with no expectations initially and then build from that.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. All right. And also, we mentioned, if you do want to get started with the coaching process, how to reach her and check out her reviews because they're, seeing is believing. And I would love to hear more client stories as we continue. Again, you don't have to use their real names, but it's always good to hear, about the work you're doing. What else did you have in store for us today?
Essentially, I think a lot of my updates are more like where I am in life right now, and it's the
Okay.
main focus was just navigating complex relationships in the workplace. And I
Yeah.
think another thing is also just trusting your pace, essentially, which is hard for a lot of people. Because I believe that because I'm such a highly motivated person, I have kind of an obsessive nature when it comes to my goals and getting things done ahead of time.
Yeah.
That when I'm not in the space where I can execute that, whether it be an injury, a financial setback, or just anything that stopped me from getting a goal done, I tend
Yeah.
to associate that with my worth per se and not the situation. So I'm
Yeah.
learning to just kind of trust the pace that I'm where I'm supposed to be,
Of
and I'm not
course.
missing out on anything. And that's just kind of where I'm at. That's a pretty important part because it's good to want to get ahead, but it's also good to be realistic and give yourself grace as you make it to that section because you never know what's in store for you or when it's supposed to happen. So that's kind of
That's
just where I'm reflecting right now.
I love the reflection. Bring it on. It's true. And I think so many people can resonate with this conversation, obviously. And, your inner healing, your inner work, we've all gone through something. It's possible to fix, to get over. And, for example, could you share some other, what other type of things are people really most in need of to move on to that next step? What are a lot of your clients asking for guidance for?
Honestly, a lot of the time, I think it's a bit funny because as a coach, you're not supposed to say this, but I think a lot of the work is helping the clients realize what they already know. A lot of the times they come to me with doubt, they're not sure how to move, but they hope to have a certain end and they hope to have a certain result or action, but they just don't have the, I guess, the confidence to execute it. So my job essentially is kind of like peeling back, like, why do you believe that that's the way? Why do you think it's not going to work out? What's stopping you? How can we get there? And we kind of make a plan to get to that pace. But I
Yeah.
realize the biggest thing that's just it's just they're in their heads a lot. They build up like this giant wall of fear of what the worst scenario will be, and that stops them from moving. And when they actually do, they're like, wow, it was so easier. It wasn't as hard as I thought it was. And I'm like, yeah, you made it into this giant monster, and we had to just pull it apart bit by bit. But that's a very common theme in a lot of it. And then for some people, it's not really a monster per se, it's an actual situation. Like I know someone who they had a weight goal in mind, and I was helping them get there, and they achieved it, but then they had an injury and they couldn't work
Uh-huh.
out. So they kind of went backwards, but it wasn't because of their choice, it was because they had to recover and they couldn't work out. So we have to talk about like giving yourself grace. We've always proven you can lose the weight. It's not a matter of what you can or can't do. It's a matter of you have to heal first, then you can do it again. But it's just situations like that.
Wow. Well, thank you for helping so many. And one more time, I just want to remind them to reach out to you. Would you mind sharing once again?
Absolutely. You can reach me on Instagram, consults_anonymous. And you can reach me via email at downloadinfo@gmail.com.
Beautiful. Thank you so much for sharing. All right. And the
And just
facts.
remember, the first session is always free.
We love that. There's nothing to lose. There's only something to gain. And that's what I love telling people. Now, what else in particular? I have your notes here, but I know you wanted to focus a little more on something else. What else did you want to make sure we cover for today?
I think it was mainly just trust the process. Sometimes you have to go through the conflict to get around it. And I'd say the only other thing is just not avoiding the inevitable. Well, that sounds pretty vague, but essentially to tackle your problems and not to let it build up. Because I feel like just kind of similar to the fear thing, how you make this giant ball of worry that just keeps you stuck. Essentially, if you just act, even if you mess up, you're still moving forward. You're building resilience, you're building experience, and you're getting to a better point from when you initially started. But just to kind of make the action. So I say my theme for today is just to trust the process, go through the conflict, not around it, and then just tackle it head on.
And you mentioned something that I read earlier. It said, where is it? It was here. Don't accept the life you were told to have. Create the one you want. I think that's very fitting for you and for what you're doing here.
Absolutely.
Now, also, you work in the Bronx. Are you doing everything virtually at this point? Are you also doing in-person sessions or?
For right now, it's mainly virtually. It's a lot more
Okay,
accessible for a lot of people right now, especially with prices going up, but it's virtual at the moment. So I
got
can
it.
reach a whole bunch of people in different boroughs if I need to.
And when you sign up to start working with you, could you just share the process of how it's working? I know there's the accountability factor, obviously, clearly, but how often you're meeting with someone, talking to
Yeah,
someone, give us a little insight into what that is, because people could fear the coaching process, anxiety over that.
absolutely. So after our initial introduction call and we do decide that we want to move forward, we just set a schedule. It depends. We have sessions where you just randomly book a session. There's no set amount of time, but let's say, for example, I had one client, we met, I believe, monthly, and we had bi-weekly check-ins just to kind of see where she was, if she wanted to have adjust the schedule, if it fits her needs, and then we go from there. But it's usually if we're doing every 2 weeks, I'll check in between if we don't meet, just so I know what's going on. But
Hmm.
it's just something as simple as just that, yeah.
I love it. Thank you so much. And it's, the fact you're working so hard, helping so many men, women, anyone off limits.
No, I'd say anyone could use some help. It doesn't matter kind of like how you are seen in some ways, because I know some people who they look more established, but they also have questions just the same, just as much as teens fresh out of high school. So anyone who needs help and think I can help them, I'm readily available.
Got it. All right, Taja Clarke here, Down and Out Consulting, and really is here to help empower you. And let's talk about some of the things that we do have to change in our lives. What are some big lifestyle changes that we all, have to go through to kind of attain our goal? Could you share a little bit about that?
I think the biggest one, usually the first step is confronting your own bias. I feel like a lot
Hmm.
of people feel that certain positions or certain lifestyles are meant for a certain set of people.
Yeah.
Like, for example, if you don't have a degree per se, you shouldn't have this job, or if you don't have this amount of money, you can't travel or do things like that. I think the biggest thing is confronting those biases and asking yourself why. Like, why can't you have it? You can also essentially work on reframing it, which is outside of just asking yourself why. Once you do know your answer, you reframe it that, I can have this and also do that at the same time. There's no box of you. You're either or. You can make anything a reality if you work on it. But it's just reframing the mindset to be open to making that change and then taking the steps there.
Oh, I love it. And also the consistency of working on something. I thought average was it takes like 6 months to actually change a behavior. Some people say it could be like 3 months, right? And, how long are you normally working with your clients?
Let's see. Usually a month and a half to 6.
Oh, wow. So it can be quicker to
Yeah.
keep that lifestyle change, to keep moving and growing and going. And, for someone out there, especially during the pandemic, I know we've discussed it's, those hard times and how everyone had to change. And I always look back to that and say, that was a time where we all had to change. We all went through something. We were not alone. And that's, I think, is just such an important thing to remember. And I'm sure you tell your clients this, that they're not alone. There's someone else out there who's, had to go through this, who's went through this, who's overcome it. It's a matter of, it's when it's your time, when you're journey your path, but it's possible. Look, we all got through COVID. That's what I always say. And if we can all get through that, this is worldwide. And so many of us were hurt with death, with loss of work, loss of career. I mean, the loss of stability, finances. And here we are recovering a few years later. It's possible,
Yeah.
and you really are not alone. And I just love that aspect. Do you offer, or would you eventually offer like a group sessions or anything, or is it strictly still the one-on-ones?
That's my goal to have in person and groups so we can have a community outside of just a one-on-one. That'll be very big. That is my dream for next year.
Ah, see, I was into something there, a little psychic moment. That's awesome. That's awesome. And, do you send out any monthly or weekly newsletters for everyone too if they go to the website?
Not yet. I'm still learning how to set that up. Quite honestly, there's a lot of cost that comes with it, but that's part of my goal to expand it and have a newsletter with just general tips or just updates on what's going on. But I'm still
Positive
figuring
words
out
of
how it looks and how it
wisdom
works.
and all that stuff. Yeah, positive thoughts and vibes. But we still have 8 minutes
Yeah.
left in the show, Taja. And what else in particular do you think you want your listeners to, share about today?
Honestly, I think I'll say just take a chance because I know it sounds like it's essentially someone telling you how to live your life or what to do, but I think just take a chance. We can just meet and just talk about anything. We can literally talk about pets. I have 2 cats. I love the conversations. We can talk about anything, but just kind of take a step and see where it takes you. Even if it's not something that's long term or something that goes beyond that call, I'll still try and give you as much tips as I can, any advice or anything I think can help your situation, but just taking a step because you don't move forward if you don't move at all, essentially. But just taking
Yeah.
the chance to try something different.
Yeah, it's always about taking that chance. And, a lot of us are so scared. And yeah,
Yeah.
we need someone to hold their hand and, really guide them. So people, you may have a goal out there, unsure how to achieve it, but you found your spot, you found your girl. And as a professional and someone who has great reviews, you should reach out to her. Now, what do you love most about helping your clients?
Honestly, I think it's a mutual situation. A lot of the times when I help my clients, I'm helping myself in some way. Like their situations align with me. I love seeing like after coaching them for a little bit, it could be about 2 weeks or a couple of months. I'll see like the light in their eyes.
Yeah.
Like they feel like a different person. They're a lot more confident. They're a lot more sure. And like their confidence rocks me because I'm like, this is not the same person I started off with. You were a ball of nerves, and now you're just this strong, fierce, unmovable force. And I just love it. Like I love seeing that transition in them and just how much they can grow when they just have faith in themselves and execute accordingly. It's just a beautiful thing. But I think I also learned that, and when I do see them, it also reflects in my personal life because now I feel inspired by your movement. So that it's a beautiful exchange between us, honestly. That's my favorite part.
Love it. I love it. I love it. And could you share another client story or two without using their names about someone, what they went through? Maybe somebody it'll resonate with and people out there today can resonate with it.
Let's see. Like I have a client, I'll name him Joseph. It's the most generic name I could think of. I know a lot of Josephs. Um, so I knew this person, Joseph, and he was, for example, he was going to a new position at the company. He went from being, I believe, an intern to a contractor to an employee. So he was dealing with feeling like he deserved his role. He had a bit of the imposter syndrome. And we just talked about kind of like um what the transition was, what it meant having his access, having a badge card, and now feeling like an official employee. And his blocker was that he felt like he didn't earn his spot, that he was given, in a sense, a handout, despite working hard to get from intern to contractor to an employee. So I know, like one session, I kept telling him that he was accomplished, that he knew a lot more. He didn't believe it. So one session, I just asked him, like, "Can you tell me what you do on a day to day?" And I kept asking him questions more and more. And before I knew it, it's been an hour. And he's like, wow, I know a lot. And I'm like, yeah, like it was just, I don't know. It was a nice change of pace because like sometimes you tell someone and like they'll understand it, but they won't see it. But he just spent the whole time listing all his skills, all the things he has to do. What happens if this is broken? What happens if there? And I'm like, that doesn't sound like someone who doesn't deserve to be here, essentially. But I think him speaking about all the stuff that he did know, and now he aspired to grow, what his next steps are, help him feel his confidence and helps to build it back. And I think that was the last time we met, at least about that topic. But that was one of my favorites. That was pretty recent. And now
Oh,
he's not as, I guess, confident, but he's still not as humble. He still talks about his accomplishments. He speaks up a lot more, and he helps to train new interns as they come into the bank. So that's pretty cool. Now he's
yeah.
doing the work that I did with him in a sense.
Wow. I love this. And I love the fact you work with men and women. I know a lot of, women coaches only work just with women, but men and women can benefit. I love that. Do you ever do couples together? Do you do counseling for couples with any like relationship issues as well?
Not yet. I have not ventured into that. Not yet. Hmm. I'll think about that one.
Well, I know you have a knack for helping people in general, and you were doing it way before you had your own company, right?
Absolutely. I am a fixer. That is my default. Yeah. I've always been known, my friends call me the therapist across almost all my friend groups. I'm either the therapist or the mom, but always helping people with things or helping them figure it out. So I figured, why not make a business about it? Why not do what you feel so naturally inclined and build a brand on it?
And here you are. All right, let's remind everyone all the ways we can reach out to you once again on social media, on the website, phone number, any way we should contact you. Thank you.
Absolutely. So you can contact me via email at downandoutinfo@gmail.com or on Instagram for consults underscore anonymous. And that's how you can find me. That's the quickest way to get my attention.
Awesome. And are you on Instagram or just Facebook and X or Twitter, shall I say?
They're all linked essentially. I have the Facebook and the Twitter, but I'm only really active on Instagram. It's like when I post on Instagram, it'll post on Facebook as well. But
Yeah,
I'm
it's like
only,
a trickler effect
yeah.
thing. Or I do the same thing. And closing thoughts for today. Do you want to leave off with any specific quote to inspire everyone and let them know that, hey, if you're down and out, I'm here.
Let's see. I'll just rephrase my summary so far. So essentially, just trust the process, take a step, take a chance, and sometimes the only way around the conflict is through it, just to tackle it head on.
Perfect. Well, we can get through it together. Get in touch. Free complimentary consultation. And I want to thank you again, Tasha, for being here, for joining us. And hopefully we'll meet again soon. It was great seeing you.
Yeah, great seeing you too. Thank
Thank
you.
you. You have a fantastic day. And to all our listeners and viewers, stay tuned. More of the show's coming up right after the break. Please stay with us. Broadcasting from the business capital of the world, this is the Podcast Business News Network.